Hello, everybody. I'm so excited. I know I'm always excited, but I have another very special guest tonight that is going to be my co host. Is my little baby brother who's way bigger than me. But before we get started, housekeeping rules I am going live using StreamYard. So if you would like to leave a comment, which I encourage you, please leave a comment. Um, you have to grant permission to StreamYard to see your name. Okay. So please go ahead and do that if you're on live because we like to see this is interactive and we like to see people there and comment and talk with you. So um I see there's two people on. So yeah, y'all leave your comments. Hey Michelle, how are you? So tonight we are going to be talking about PTSD. Not too much in depth, but I just want to it is PTSD awareness month and I would like to just bring some awareness around PTSD. Also, we're going to be talking about how dreams really do come true. So, my guest tonight, like I said, is my little big brother. So you will be able to, interact with him. He is awesome. He can get on my nerves. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. He get on my nerves. Whew, child. Anyway, I love him. No, I love my little brother. But without further ado, I am going to bring him on so he can tell you a little bit more about himself. His name is Trenty Watford. Hey, Charina. He goes by his stage name is T.E.A. So I like to say that T.E.A. So yeah, he's a real professional wrestler. So anyway, here he comes, y'all. Yeah, I need to get one of those.
Bonjour.
I need to get
I
one of
want
those.
to
You know, the little
let's get a
talk.
sound effect machine or
Yeah, I need
get your
that.
second app and get some sound effects on your phones. Yeah,
Right.
see?
So Mr. Watford,
Bonjour, mademoiselle. How you
I don't know if it's just me, but like I can see your whole self, but on my extra little screen, our both of our heads are like cut off. So our heads cut
oh,
off, y'all. I
oh,
don't
you
know.
need to back up? You need to
Yeah, because you're so tall,
I'm sitting
You got
down.
the daddy jeans and I got the mama jeans.
Oh,
It happens. We are real live brothers and sister, y'all. Like I know we look like chocolate and vanilla.
we got the same nose, I think. Yeah. Yeah, we got the same
Nah, your
nose.
nose is a little bit bigger than mine.
Oh,
You look like your mama and your
what?
daddy mixed together. I was adopted, not for real. But so anyway, um, so tell us who you are. Oh look, it's our long lost cousin Mike. Hello, Mike.
It's Mikey.
But so he said, "Yep." So tell us a little bit about who you are and I usually tell people, but I end up talking too long. So
Oh,
I met this man when he was like 2 days old, and I've known him for the last however old you are.
I'm 39 now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's 7 years younger than me.
But technically 6.5 if you think
And a
about
half.
semantics. Oh,
Right. So I'm gonna give them the pre-warning. He's very sarcastic. I'm very nervous because I have no idea what's gonna come out of this man's mouth. So
oh,
but anyway, so go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
I promise to be halfway professional. This is your show. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
about me, let's see. I am the current result at this chapter in my life of making the best of every bad decision I've ever made in my life. So, as of right now, I'm retired from the army. That was my bad decision I made at 17. And let's see, 2 divorces later, I'm in a happy relationship right now with my current fiance. And I'm wrestling as well. And I'm at this point in my life where I just finally get to be myself. And it's been a very freeing and wonderful feeling. I'm not living to nobody else's expectations or standards except my own.
Awesome. I was there for it all, y'all.
Mm,
And your mother says, "Hello, my babies." And I don't know if you can see the comments, but
mm-mm,
okay. And cousin Maggie's on too. So hey, cousin. Hey, mama. So anyway, so some of that, because I'm gonna just like jump right in because I know we might end up talking forever, and I know people get hungry, tired, sleepy, kids, all that. Um, so some of the things you mentioned were like things that resulted from PTSD, and for some, I'm gonna just, because I am a mental health professional, I want to tell people what PTSD is. So PTSD is actually, let's start with trauma. So trauma is an event that happened to you, and you can tend to have a response to it that is not necessarily a
mm-hmm,
healthy response. So what happens is the response, if it lasts clinically, if it lasts longer than 30 days, you can be diagnosed with PTSD, which is post traumatic stress disorder. And so typically, not everybody doesn't have, everybody doesn't always get PTSD. So I just want that to be clear. There's a lot of factors that come into about PTSD, as far as like, if like what kind of things you were exposed to as a child, what other type of incidences you had growing up, because you might have just, this might be like normal life to you. You know what I mean? These are traumatic experiences, but you don't necessarily develop PTSD. PTSD, some of the symptoms are like nightmares, avoiding situations, memories of the trauma that seem very vivid,
mm-hmm,
that almost like it's happening again, right? Then there's a lot of like negative emotions that come with that as well. So like having angry, like, people tend to think about veterans a lot, and the anger that goes with it. So it's just, there could be angry, not really feeling like you are loved, or you know um value, things like that. So there's other symptoms. I can go into them more, but I don't want to take up the time from our guest. So there's a lot of symptoms, and there's some things like not wanting to be in crowds, large crowds, being easily startled, just I'm gonna do a whole nother post another day about just PTSD in itself. But so thinking about that you've had some of these things, and I remember, let's start back from like where you said making a bad decision joining the military.
mm-hmm.
So when did you join the military? For I know, but
Way, way back in the year 2000 when I was 17 years old.
so yeah, I remember calling you to tell you happy birthday, but you couldn't really answer because you were at basic training on your
Mm,
18th birthday in a foxhole. so um so yeah, your military career just kind of started out not, it was totally opposite from mine, I must say. What was, can you share what your MOS
um,
was, your job?
my job was microwave communications. I actually had fun in basic training. I didn't have that whole. I already knew what to expect, kind of. So it was to me easy. We just had to show up and do what we're told. The dumb people got yelled at. Um, I got yelled at, but it's nothing new. For me playing football and being a wrestler and being in sports, but I learned how to navigate. It was weird navigating my way through the military, being 17 years old and just listening to people cry and complain about their families at home. And I didn't know how to empathize or cope with that. 'Cause I'm just here, just having fun. Honestly, like we get to eat three, 4 times a day, go out and guard duty, BS around with your friends, pull pranks on each other, sneak out after lights out, just random goofy stuff like that.
And actually still
Um,
get paid, right?
yeah, my big $600 check I was pulling in at the time. So
So what rank did you come in
so
at?
as a E1, I came
Oh my,
in
I
blank
didn't
E1.
know it.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. So you came in with like bare chest. I
Hmm.
guess it's like a mosquito wing or whatever. Yeah, so my military experience was I came in as an E3, and so I made like $800 or $900. That's it. But it's so weird because we grew up in a military family. So I have very similar situation where I was not it was hard for me to empathize because I'm like, just do what they told you to do and come on, it's a game. Like that's how I was seeing it. Like just
Hmm.
follow the leader, do what they said, you know. Um so that was something kind of difficult too. And then I'm gonna just fast forward. So then you get out of basic training, AIT. Wasn't your AIT like skipped ahead or something like
No, mine was 11 months total.
okay. So you did the whole like
Um,
it wasn't because I thought because like the war happened, like you had to like leave early or something, or they like rushed you
mm,
through. Oh, okay.
no, I graduated the month before 9/11, and I was
Oh,
home for hometown recruiting, so that's what got cut in half. And I had to
okay.
report early to my duty station, which made no sense because I didn't deploy until like way later the next year.
Hmm.
And that first deployment was in Uzbekistan. It was an easy deployment compared to my other two. We only had to worry about old minefields that were still there because we're on the border with Russia, and just doing our day to day security checks and stuff. It only happened our first and second deployments to Iraq, where things really just picked up as far as all right, this is crazy, and back. I'm not in a place where I want to be, type of thing.
Hmm. Yeah, that and just for the sake of not triggering anybody, because we do have some people on. I don't want to go too deep about your stuff because it's not, it's. I mean, it's up to you, but also I don't want anybody to be triggered and then I'm like not able to help them. But some I know I remember when. Well, I remember all your deployments, but I remember when you got to go when you went to Iraq it was crazy because I was stationed in Germany, but I was able to see you
Mm,
before you left.
yep.
And so that was
Yep.
kind of cool. We just were looking at some stuff and we had pictures
Mm,
from when we were at the air base meeting with you. So that was kind of cool that we got to see you. But something that was like for me it was very terrifying because at the moment before you got deployed Baghdad was like a safer place to be, at least that's what they said in the news. Like it wasn't anything
mm,
happening in Baghdad. And I just remember it was like the night you were supposed to be landing, it was like just like the song said, like bombs over Baghdad. And I was like, oh my God. And then we didn't hear from you for like some time, and I remember my mom was like, um, we were trying to keep her calm and she's like, he's going to a good place, right? I'm like, yeah. Because we news in Europe was different from news
yeah.
in the United States. So it was very, very different. But so altogether you had 3 deployments.
Yes.
Okay. And that was like what you were like 19. How old were you by then? Like 19 to
The first one I was 19. Second one I just turned 21 when we flew out,
hmm.
and then the third one I was 23, 24
Wow.
ish.
Yeah. So just for
Mm,
perspective, I just want people to think about that. This is what happens. We volunteer, yes, we do. It's not like the
mm,
army where people were drafted during Vietnam. So this was a volunteer army. But again, most people, we're like, ain't no war. We're going to sign up so I can get some college money, take
mm.
care of my kids, things like that. But here, this young man joined the military at 17. So that means your parents had to sign for you to go, right?
I need
Um,
my parents' permission. So yeah.
yeah. So you have to sign to join the military.
Mm,
You can't even drink legally.
no.
And now you're going fighting in a war for people you don't even stuff you don't even understand or know, and you're still a teenager. Like that's a lot. And um our cousin, he just posted something on there. He said, I wish your dad was here to help guide you being in the military. And so I want to add all this perspective in. So my dad died when you were 19.
Yeah, 19. Yeah.
19. So this is like, you join the military, culture shock, go get deployed, come back, your dad passes away. So
No, he
it's just
passed away before my first
before
one.
your first one. Okay. I
Mm,
can't remember, like, my memory's all off too. So it's and you were at Fort Bragg, right?
yes.
Lord. So Fort Bragg was a whole situation
Yeah,
in itself.
that's a whole nother section of trauma. So,
Yeah, right. Because I swear I was thinking you would never get out of that place.
mm,
But so that's a lot that you had to deal with. Matrell, hey Matrell, she's on. She said he's like, he looked just like your dad. Um, she's a childhood friend that we
mm,
had, that our parents all worked together in Germany. So yeah, so that's just a lot that you have to go through, and you're still not even old enough to drink yet. Like when
yeah.
I know I'm talking about drinking, but
Mm,
I'm just saying, like, you could barely vote, and you weren't even old enough to
mm.
go and do like normal things that teenagers do. So so I'm gonna fast forward again. So after would you say after your Iraq deployment is when you noticed that you might had symptoms of PTSD,
It
or
took
was it after the first
my third one.
one? Oh, the third
I
one.
honestly went through my second one, um, kind of with a death wish. I didn't expect to come back.
Mm,
So like every day I was like partying, wilding out, got tattoos, splurged money. Like I was just enjoying life from a day-to-day basis, which I didn't expect to come back. Especially with the unit I was with, they were not prepared to go out there at the current state they were in. Um,
Cause wait, let
so
me let me pause right there. So when you say the unit you were with, it's not your assigned unit, it's like a different unit or something?
I got transferred to another unit for my second deployment,
Okay.
and kind of just got stuck with them because they needed bodies. And my MOS was a 25 Papa, and for whatever reason, military units didn't know what to do with us if we weren't in a unit that had a tech control to work in. So they was like, "Well, your combo, just stick you with a random combo unit and
Mm.
figured out what to do from there." And that's how I ended up working with tactical satellites and working with radios and all type of stuff that I did no training for while I was in AIT. Um, but that second deployment, I was already mentally prepared that I'm probably not. There's a high chance I'm not coming back. So I just enjoyed everything that was going on at the time. And then my third deployment was where I think the symptoms finally set in, where I was disassociating with everything and just not coping with what was going on around my environment. There was a time me and my best friend, we walked up to where they had the shop at, and like Burger King and the restaurant set up at, and in Camp Victory where we're at, and they just opened up the what's that, the Cinnabon place. Yeah, a Cinnabon place just opened up. So by that time it's been like 8 months since I had like anything like delicious to that extent to eat. It's just been all regular DFAC food and stuff and whatever cakes they put together. So we went up there, and this woman got hit by a rocket, and the rocket didn't explode, but she still got hit by it. And everybody's like crowding around, trying to figure out what's going on. People are scrambling around everywhere. And where I figured out my turning point, where I'm probably going to end up needing help afterwards, was my first thought was, oh, cool, the lines are opened up. I have to stand in line to get this. And
Mm.
went and got my Cinnabon and went about my day like it was nothing. And
Yeah.
then that happened several more times when wounded people were brought onto base. The area I had to walk through to go to work for the day was right by the medical tent, and something in me just stopped caring, or even feeling bad that other people were going through stuff or being hurt. And when I got back from that deployment, it was a weird time because they didn't have nothing set up at the time for people redeploying back.
Yeah.
Um, I was having sleeping issues. I was staying up 3-4 days at a time. And then I got in random trouble. I'm like, look, I'm not sleeping. I can't get any sleep. It was like, well, you still need to be here. I don't care if you're not sleeping. Sleep in the parking lot. Drive up and just stay at work if you're not gonna be able to sleep at home. Like they told me to just stay like at work several times, just instead of like, hey, maybe he needs to go to the TMC, get an appointment set up, go get a sleep study done.
Mm.
Um, and then people didn't really start getting help from the deployments until about 2008, 2009, when like the crazier stuff started happening.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I remember that because I was so thankful that you would call me at
Mm-hmm.
those times when you couldn't go to sleep and I just answer. And that I was there. At that time I was actually in school doing my undergrad. And so this is why I ended up doing my psychology final undergrad project was about PTSD because there was not enough information. And
Mm-hmm.
there was so many military people that I was in and around, and especially so I just am thankful that you made it back. And I appreciate all your service, and I know you don't get enough credit for everything that you've had to endure and
Mm-hmm.
do, and it's still challenging, right? um
Yes.
Somebody's asking a question and I'm not quite sure what it is, but it says, is he able to get paid now with the experience of what he learned in radio? So actually, if I'm understanding, um, with the radio stuff, um, I think you did do different several jobs, right? Like after you
uh,
got out.
I'm officially done dealing with anything with communications or computers for the rest of my life. So I'm not getting a job and getting like a high paying job working with stuff is not a priority to me.
Hmm.
I could like I've been in situations where I've made a lot of money and I'm still like miserable and pissed off. I don't like dealing with the computers and combo stuff. I don't like dealing with the people associated with them and putting networks together. I just don't like it anymore. It's not my that was like
Right.
an older version of me. Um, it's not it's not something I want to like progress in my life anymore.
Yeah.
I've never been that. Maybe I got this from mama. I've never been that type of person where I'm like, hey, you have to do this one job for the rest of your life and you can't do nothing else. I
Yeah.
never understood that mindset, especially being able to do so many other things. So after I quit working at the college I was working at, I was like, I'm done working with anything associated with computers and dealing with customers, having to deal with their networks and stuff because they're the worst.
Yeah. And I know that I want to say, I think that that's part of what we're talking about as far as when you have symptoms. And so
Mm,
things that maybe trigger you, and this is like for everybody else. So like you can have symptoms of things that trigger you and you don't even know that
mm,
it's really triggering. So like in your situation, Trini, when you um were working, doing that probably triggered you to think about your military experiences, but then having to deal with the people and
mm,
all of that is sometimes difficult because when you transition, and I want y'all to understand this, when people transition from combat and then come into civilian sectors, things are really hard. Like it's not, you know, your trust level is gone. Kind of like what he was saying during that time when he was deployed, where you become just like dissociated from reality, and your empathy levels are changed because
Mm,
you got to think your battle buddy, somebody you're close to, they could die, but you can't sit there and mourn their death. You can't um be in that moment, because then that same thing could just turn around and happen to you. If you're over here like, oh my gosh, buddy, then you're putting everybody else at risk along with yourself at that point.
mm,
So you learn to kind of just suppress your emotions and your feelings, and trust, really, you can't trust anybody, because there's depending on where you were, in America, we look at children and women as like vulnerable. But in these foreign countries and places like that, women and children are people you need to protect yourself from, because
yeah,
they
they
use
walk
them.
around with rocket launchers, so yeah.
Exactly. So your everything that you learn as an American and growing up, even if you grew up in the hood, it's the same. Like it's not. It's a whole different type of environment. And so when people come back, it's really hard sometimes just to reintegrate. Um and then some people have it easier, where they can integrate
Mm.
easier, just depending on what their situation is. So um so let's talk about Bruno. No, I'm kidding. Because nobody talks about Bruno. But so I was like, let's talk about Bruno. I know you
That's a
hear
great movie, by the way.
that. It is a great movie. um so let's kind of transition a little bit, because you didn't know that you had the symptoms, but you started recognizing things were wrong and things were not exactly okay. Let me see, when and how. Oh, yeah. So that's what we're getting to, Maggie. So Maggie says, when and how did he reach out for treatment? So that's kind of like what I was transitioning into. So um I know you said they were like, oh, go to medical or something. But so how and when did you decide to go and get treatment?
Um, Let me see. Last deployment. It was weird. I think I took the long road. I didn't finally go get treatment for anything until about 2010. But by that time, I was already doing what my coping mechanisms of um, drinking and partying, um, unnecessary risk like drag racing my car um, on the highways and stuff. Um, I had an episode of 2010 where they were doing construction. They were replacing the HVAC system in the building I was working at as an instructor, and somehow it slipped or they dropped it too heavy from the crane and like it shook the whole building. And for about 3 seconds in my head, like everything went brown back to a desert, to an explosion that I experienced over there. And I couldn't even finish teaching my class. My students know what was wrong with me. I sent them on break and like tried to just gather myself. Um, I stayed in the bathroom for like 15 minutes. Um, and then I called um, my the main, like I was the assistant instructor at the time. I called the main instructor. I was like, "Hey, you need to come back. I can't finish the class." And he was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "The building shook. I haven't calmed down yet. I'm not calming down, and I can't be in front of the soldiers like this."
Mm-hmm.
And then they immediately removed me from the class for the next like week and a half. Um, I was not too thrilled about going because of the stigma that was going on around the time, that if you had to go to the what they call the 13th floor, you just automatically a crazy psychotic person. And then like when I went there, like we just sat down and talked like right now. And I was like, why are people like not doing this?
Mm-hmm.
um like we just sat down and talked and I explained everything that happened. And that's when I first got well, that led to my addiction to Ambien and sleeping pills. They gave me Ambien, and then that was like the first time I was like actually sleeping for years, and it wasn't like getting rest sleep. It was like I'll take a pill at like 8 o'clock, then I blink, and the next thing is like 5 in the morning.
Wow.
Um, but I finally it took 2010, and then um went through marital issues at the time. Then I was trying to get into mixed martial arts and break into that area, and so that eventually became my therapy. Going to do MMA, just getting the crap beat out of me on a week to week basis and beating crap out of other people. And then we just hang out and have drinks and do stuff afterward after training and stuff. Um, and then when I went to Korea, that was the only other time I went to go get treatment. And that was after my promotion issue happened that I just snapped. And I just went on this whole anti-army deal for like 2 months. I was on social media, and just whoever was listening, I was just yelling random stuff and formation. Um,
Yeah.
and it was like, hey, we need to separate you. Because what I've learned being the big black NCO in the company, people rarely question you when you snap. So, and
Yeah.
then afterwards, I just started going to the VA afterwards, just having my monthly appointments. So
Well,
that's
good.
when I started doing treatment.
Good. I'm glad that because there is a stigma. There still is a stigma. And but treatment is beneficial. And you know, currently for another week, I still work with veterans
Mhm.
at the VA. But I'm just so thankful that you did have sense enough, and that you had family. I mean, it's small when I think of just our immediate family, because it was just like
Mm,
me, you, and Mama, and mine and my kids. And I think by then Jaden was born. Um, so you had a small little village. But I'm just thankful that you were able to have sense enough
mhm.
to go and not be. And when I say sense, I'm not saying that people that don't go don't have sense, but I'm just saying sometimes it's hard to go. And
No, the times I didn't go, I didn't have sense. I mean, that's an accurate assessment. It's not saying they don't. Like, it's just being stubbornness or having an ego, pride, all that plays in the factor, and that
right.
goes against your common sense of just getting help, just sitting at a minimum, just talking.
Yeah, the person they just said had the will. So you did, right? You had
Mm,
the will to go. And like Demon's saying, you're brave. And so that's something that it takes courage and bravery to go, especially to be vulnerable and talk to somebody. And while you're in, not knowing what the outcome's going to be, because in
mm,
the military, y'all, we learn like it's a weak thing if you're sick. If you go to sick call, and that's sick call like going to the doctor, right? So it's a weak thing. It's and then when you're in charge of people, in charge of troops, or you have a position that's in a leadership position, you even suppress it more, because you're like, I have, like how he was saying, he had students. You People are looking at you, so
mm.
if you're all discombobulated and you're not okay, then that can hinder you from promotion. It's a lot that goes with that. So you got to take on a lot of responsibility and be brave and have courage and not let your pride get in the way, and understand that at the end of the day, when this military thing is over, all you got still is yourself, because you are replaceable, you are
Mm.
expendable. Oh, hey, I was like, who is this Facebook user? But it's my coach, hey Glendora. um so yeah, there's just, but people don't know that, because we're not taught that, because from the beginning they break you down to build you up, right? So that you can go forth and do whatever it is that needs to
Yeah,
be
kind of.
done. Yeah. But if you lived in our house, you was already broke down, right? Like
Yeah.
we was already ready for it. Um, so now I'm gonna kind of transition all the way, unless anybody else has any other questions for him. And before I do transition, I do want to say thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing. And again, um, you know, if I'm sorry if you had any type of trigger issue or
Mhm.
whatever, but if you need to, I'll be available and you can just hit me up and I can help you with it.
Yeah.
But
I appreciate
but
that, big sister.
but I do appreciate you for sharing all of that because we didn't know where this was gonna go, but um yeah, but um oh, okay. Maggie's saying, is there any aftercare that he would suggest for others?
That varies person to person. It's a case by case basis. Some people get the the what does people call it? The ones that walk around with the dogs?
Oh, the PTSD, the service
Yeah.
dogs.
Yeah, the service dogs. Yeah, some people walk around with them. I met some guys that they start their own biker club. So it just some people get into their own variety of things, but as long as you have at least a group of like-minded people to talk to and just bounce your issues off of, and they can give you productive feedback or just sit and listen. That's just the base thing that people need.
Yeah.
Anything else as far as sleeping and dealing with day-to-day stuff. Some people write, um, make music, or just get into some random like hobby to keep them productive instead of sitting and wallowing about it.
Okay. And I was going to share some more resources before we end because I want him to finish his story as well. But I think so. Glendora is asking, what is the exercise re- regimen and diet? Based on she's saying based on the profile picture, the picture that I posted,
Oh,
which
on
that's what
mine?
we're about to get into. And so again, I'm gonna share some more aftercare and resources that you can use, or that if you know someone that is a person, even if they're not military, but just some things that people can do. Okay. Damon says, I think that surrounding yourself around people that can relate to you is important. And before we move on, then that's what one of the things I was going to share is I do work, with veterans, and we do have groups, and that's really really helpful to them surrounding themselves with people that have gone through similar experiences because then they don't feel awkward and
Mm,
ashamed, but they're also helping each other with the resources and the information that can help them with their VA benefits and percentages and claims and anything, and the way that I do my group, we don't really talk about our individual experiences because it could trigger another person. Another person may not be ready for that. I do that more one on one, and then when they're in group, they can just kind of be more uplifting and more empowering to one another than just because I've been in
mm,
groups where people are like, well, this happened to me. And then it becomes like a measuring stick
yeah,
kind of thing. So
everybody
I
try to
don't
one
want
up each other.
right. So I try not to do that so that people don't ever feel minimized. Um, Mark says we need to keep in mind that PTSD is not just a war thing. Absolutely, Mark. And so that's why I was going to have resources for other, because it's not just about war. This just is Men's Health Month, and it's also PTSD Awareness Month. And so I know you had a little, you're a man, you got, all this
Mm,
stuff going on. But yes, it is not. PTSD can come from many other situations, any type of trauma situation that you've had. It could come from um like being in a natural disaster. I can't get my words right. Natural disasters, car accidents, any significant emotional event, essentially, could cause you to have PTSD. So, um, a sexual assault, a physical assault, even. Um,
Yep.
so, um, let's get into this. What this other part of this about dreams really do come true. So, I'm gonna start this and premise it with, um, when you were a little boy, you used to jump off the bed onto your mattress. Like you would jump off your springboard thing. I think it was a springboard. I don't know. We might it might not even been a spring. It might just been a. I think it was a box
Oh,
spring thing.
the
But,
dresser and the headboard.
oh, the dresser and the head. Well, there you go. It wasn't
Yeah,
even
yeah,
anything
man.
springy. The dresser and the headboard, and jump off onto his mattress with his friends. And we were avid. I'm talking about me and this man right here. We was on some WWE, WW everything. Like back,
Mhm.
that but I knew all the wrestlers. But this man said, I remember like parents, whoever, our dad, our parents, our mom, other adults told Trenty, where are you gonna be when you grow up? I'm gonna be a wrestler. And it was like, dude, you can't be no wrestler. Like, it was kind of funny.
Mm.
But in high school you did join the wrestling team, right?
Yes, I did, and that was a eye opener of physicality that I wasn't expecting.
Because it was different from like
Um,
the wrestling on TV, right?
it was way different, but the just the training that goes into it. Our hell week we had to go through, where they weed out who's gonna last for the year, was nothing like I've done playing basketball or football or baseball or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Wrestling is just one of those sports where your success all depends on you. You can't rely on the quarterback. You can't rely on the point guard. Everything is based upon you and what you put into it. As far as me playing around with my friends growing up, it was I kind of feel if we grew up in the States instead of Germany, um, I probably would have started doing this younger instead of starting when I was 35 or 34. Yeah, 34 when I started. Um, it's just something I've been drawn to this whole time, and I didn't know it was something realistic just because one, you really when I was growing up, there wasn't a lot of black wrestlers around for me to be like, yeah, he's inspired me. I want to be like this guy. And something I recently found out was me. I've been an inspiration to other people starting in wrestling,
Ooh.
um, because I don't have to do no goofy. He's an African warrior, or he's a drug dealer, or he's a pimp, or he's a dancer. He's chucking and diving. I don't have to do none of that just to be presentable as a wrestler anymore. As whereas guys in the '80s and '90s had to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and
Like a
so they kind
gimmicky
of,
thing.
huh?
Like a gimmicky
What?
kind of thing.
Yeah, I
Gimmicky,
don't have to
yeah.
be. Yeah, I don't have to be overly gimmicky the way I present myself in the ring. I can present myself as an athlete, as this big black dude that's just gonna come beat your ass. Like that's essentially what I do. um,
Um,
but getting into it was just random. A lot of things had to take place for this to even become a reality.
mhm,
I had to disassociate myself from a failed marriage, from religion, from the military. I finally had to sit down and say, I want to be happy and I want to do what makes me happy. And I don't want to look back on my life and say, I didn't do this when the opportunity was there.
absolutely. I love that about you that you're just like, because I'm all about being, it took me some time too because I have my own
Mm,
trauma, but for very different reason. But um, just being happy, and
mm,
happy is really a temporary feeling, just like everything else. So it was like, even I just wanted to look back the same way and just say, you know what, this is this is not okay. And I think I shared
mm,
a couple weeks ago that like I was looking at this life expectancy thing and I'm like, whoa, I only have, like 23 more years left. So, I mean, hypothetically, right?
Mhm,
So it's like, do I want these next 23 years to look like these last 46? No.
mhm,
So it's, so I'm being more intentional about things that I do. So I love that you've taken on that intentional route a long time, not just doing things because people said this is what you should do, or
mhm.
this is, how we're raised or something like that, but just doing things for you, right?
Yes.
Um, so how did you come up with this name? Is that okay? This T-Ray, like, because it
Oh, I love
almost
this.
sounds
This
like
is a great story.
oh, okay.
So, originally, my name was supposed to be Trey Watford, and Trey Watford was my alias I was using when I was unfaithful in an unhappy marriage.
Oh,
Um, I hate explaining how to say my name to people when I meet them. If I say hi, my name is Trenty Watford, and they're like, "What? What type of name that is?" Like, I can't. Like, I'm already don't want to deal with you as a female. Um, so I shortened my name to Trey Watford, and it was supposed to be Trey, and my trainer was like, "I don't know. I don't know if I can market that. I don't know if I can do anything with that. Like, I can't promote Trey. Trey is just." Then like we just started writing out how to spell it. First it was TRE, then TRAY, and then when I had wrote it out, um, I had kind of put like a little nick mark between the T and the R. So it kind of looked like a half hyphen or whatever. And I was like, T Ray. Hey, hold up. Then we got something here. It's short, it's simple, it's easy to chant, it's easy to boo. You can make puns off of it. And that's kind of what you want to be marketable as a wrestler. You need a simple name. Like when you think of all the older wrestlers, Mr. Perfect or Hulk Hogan,
mm-hmm.
um, guys like Andre the Giant, super simple names.
It's
Because
memorable.
yes, because you want to have the youngest and the dumbest fan to be able to connect with you.
Mm-hmm.
So a 4-year-old is not going to be able to say a long-winded name and chant it and be like, "Yeah, I want to be like this guy. What's his name? Oh, it's Trenty Donisha Watford." I was like, "Wait, what?"
Right. So
Like, yeah,
that's
it's like I want to be big and strong like T-Ray. Like, I get random messages from parents like that after shows sometimes. Um, and then on that note, it's just easier to keep. So you want to write your name on your gear, on your trunks, or your boots, somewhere easy. So if you have a long name, it's gonna be hard to make it legible on your trunks as well. So
so
short and simple.
so I'm gonna go back to what Glendora was saying. She's like, "What's up with this exercise regimen and all that?" Let me tell y'all, this was the smallest kid ever. Like, there was like pictures. I mean, we were just little kids, like we were
Yeah.
tiny. And I remember he always wanted to be bigger than me because he was a boy. And I was just like, haha, I'm bigger, but I was only like 4 foot tall, you know. So he was really, really skinny and tiny. And so how did you bulk up and like, I mean, you just like, I remember seeing you at 16 and I was like, who this? Hoppo, who this? You know, and I was like, he grew. Like you were just little, like last year. Then I came home to
Mm.
visit. Me and Damon were married, and it was like, this is my brother, but I don't know who this big ass kid is.
Now it's still super skinny. When I went to the army, I was 147 pounds when I first joined, and
But I
I
mean,
hit
you
a
were
growth.
tall because I mean, for
Mm.
me, you were like always little Trenny. So,
I think I was like 5'9", 5'10" in high school, but I was still super skinny.
mhm.
Um, like my freshman year in high school, I wrestled 112 pounds that year. People don't believe that. And I'm like, when I graduated, I was in the 152 weight class, but I was underweight for it. But I hit a growth spurt when I was 21, my second deployment. I think my second deployment is when it happened. We spent 2 months because we were held over for 2 months to transfer the vehicles back. And so for those 2 months, me and my two best friends, all we did was go to the gym 2, 3 times a day, and we ate dinner 4 times a day. We weren't in a rush to eat. There's like a lot of food. So 4 times a day, just eating and then working out twice a day, like every single day, 2 months straight. I didn't realize I was putting on weight or anything until I got back to the States, and everybody's like, "What the hell happened to you?" I was like, "What?" And I was like, "What do you mean? What do you mean? What happened to me?" And so then I just was walking around because we didn't have mirrors in the gym either.
Oh, so you didn't even know what you look like.
Nah,
Oh my gosh.
I was
Yeah.
like, I was looking, I was like, "Oh man, look, my abs are popping out a little more," because I was always just super skinny, so I always see myself as skinny. Like
Mhm.
even right now, I still have that complex where I see myself as super skinny.
Oh, you
And
know.
so so after that, I had bulked up to 185 pounds after that deployment, and then when I started playing football in Belgium, I just put on more weight. I started learning more about diets and how to bulk up more and what supplements to take as far as creatine and protein and just eating like crazy 4 or 5 times a day, 5 meals a day, just eating. And then that schedule does take its toll on you, which I found out back in 2020 because I had put on too much weight by that time. And
No comment.
that's when my gut started going. It was weird. Like I had a gut, but
Dad
I still
bod.
had abs. Yeah, that wasn't even dad bod. It was a gut, but I still had abs.
Oh.
Um, and so like even now, like I had to drop a lot of that weight as well because it was messing up my knees and my hips.
Mm-hmm.
So just carrying all that weight because I'm naturally skinny. Um, so like right now I'm comfortable and happy where I'm at right now, but I still need to drop about probably 15 or 20 more pounds.
So do you do like weight training or like like I don't know, like as a person, like do you help other people do
Oh no,
that?
I
Like,
quit doing
oh,
that.
okay.
um,
'Cause I could use that right now.
I I went through the whole phase of trying to train people and help people while I was on active duty, and then my ex had this whole idea like we should start a gym and do this and do that, and I was like, no. Because training people is really stressful. You have to invest a lot emotionally into them to keep them motivated, keep them inspired. Um, Dealing with their list of excuses. No, not today. Oh no, I'm gonna start next week. No, okay. Well, can we just do this? Like, no, just shut up and do what the hell I told you to do. Um,
That would be me.
like that gets stressful, like time after time after time, and then you're not allowed to have like fun when you're training people because you can't post pictures of like, yeah, I'm about to dig into this brisket and this pizza and eat this box of chicken. I'm about to go to town on this. Like you can't post pictures like that of having fun. Like, hey, but you're supposed to be on a diet. Like you told me not to eat this. And I was like I'm
That-
celebrating right now. I can eat what I want.
yeah.
So there's a lot of hypocrisy and there's a lot of I don't know, there's a lot of stress training people, and you got to be in a right mindset to deal with that from person to person. And right now, I'm kind of like shying away from helping people like fitness wise because I just don't have it in me anymore.
Mhm.
Like
But
it's just not
oh,
there. Yeah. Like you either want to do it or you don't. If you don't want to do it, then be happy where you are. You want to be fat and happy, fine. Because in about 10 years, I'm about to put on 70, 80 more pounds because I'm about to eat and enjoy life. I'm gonna get fat. I'm gonna be put on medicines and I'm gonna breathe hard. And that's where I want to be.
stop. Don't.
That's where I want to be in 10, 15 years.
But your
But
whole like since you've been a teenager, you've been having to go up and down on weight with wrestling
mhm.
anyway. And you played all sports. Like you played basketball, football. I don't know if you ran track, but you know, you were
I
in
did
the band.
track in my junior year.
Yeah, that's
I did the 2 mile and the pole vault.
I know you played baseball. Like you play like every sport, I think. And
Mm.
so I know it's getting late, but before we go, how many do you have belts, or how many have you won things, or can people follow
See,
you, any of that kind of stuff?
I've won 8 championships so far in the past 3 years. I had a really good run last year as far as being put at the top of the card. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all under T.E.A. T-Ray. Um, and my last name Watford. I'm there and I'm posting highlights and videos and promoting flyers, whatever show I'm gonna be at. Um, People don't really understand like winning a championship is like one
Oh,
thing,
get
but
a foot.
it's like it's just a part of the story for the show. I can still be the top draw at a company and not be the champion. Um, Being a champion is just a plus added benefit to have that championship match feel type of thing.
Mhm. So right now, how many belts do you
Mm.
have?
Right now, just one, but I
Oh,
have the
didn't you
top
say like
title.
four? Oh,
Yeah, that
okay.
was last year.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
But it's kind of
Um,
like is it kind of like on TV kind of wrestling?
yes.
Is that the kind of stuff it
Mm,
is?
yes. But right now, I have the top title in the state. So those 4 titles were smaller,
In the
minor
state?
titles. Yes.
Oh.
So I
So
have the
like
top
you're the
title of
top
the top
wrestler
company in the state.
of all of Texas.
Yes.
Oh, shoot, congratulations.
Yeah.
Y'all, my brother famous. He's somebody. Mama, he did it. But no, that's really amazing. I
Mm,
really love that because, I always talk about that too. Like, be careful about what you say. And from when you were like 7 years old to, you know, things over your life, you were in karate, you did wrestling, you're very athletic. When I
mm.
say athletic, I mean, you might not be good at all of them, but you're
I
athletic.
was I was great at every sport. I got trophies and the medals to prove it.
If you ask
Yeah.
Demond, I don't know about the basketball. Hey Avery. Um, but I'm just kidding. Um, yeah, so I know Demond says we're coming to your match. So I think
Mm,
you're gonna have one coming up in Waco when we're there.
yes.
So we'll be able to see you for the first time
Finally.
wrestling.
It's been stressful trying to get booked in Alabama. Like it's been hell.
Well, I mean, we a little
So
backwards over here. But but
yeah.
um but if you would like to follow him, I think it's all T-Ray. And
Yes.
and so some of his matches, like he sends them to me, so I get to see them, or I follow, I'll see it on his page. Y'all, when I say athletic, I'm not just saying that because he's my brother, but some of the stuff he does, I'm just like, how? Like, and I mean, he's so tall. To me, he's real tall. How tall are you?
Mm. I'm 6 feet.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, 6 feet on the dot.
Why you seem Uncle Donnell said, "Congrats, Tinker."
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this because he was so little. That's what we used to call him, Tinker, when he was
That's
little.
still my nickname. Tink is still my nickname whenever I go home. Everybody still calls me Tink.
Lord. That just cracked me up, Uncle Donnell. That was good. Brought back a whole bunch. But the wrestling matches, like I'm just like, this is I don't want to watch this, because I know this. I'm like, it's fake. I know they already know and all this stuff. But just to watch you and your athleticism is incredible. Just like, because I'm like, how this big ass man jumping off the top, like how he really do that? So I guess all those jumping off the
Mhm.
dresser,
Yeah.
like
See,
really
finally paid off. Yeah.
you're paid off. Yeah. So
Yeah.
y'all be careful about what you say, um, because it can happen, So
Mhm.
and in this way, I'm really thankful because, all the challenges that you've had throughout your life, and now that you can turn these things into positive moments and something that you're really good at, it's able to be an inspiration to others and to other little, young, not just boys, but young girls too. And I know I
Mm,
see some of the women in the audiences, and I'm like, golly, like they're tripping. They're like rowdy. So I just thank you, because you also do like motivational. You've been doing like motivational, inspirational talks to some of the schools. Like in the past, I've seen
mm.
you do that, and so this is just I'm just so thankful. I'm more than thankful that you came back alive. Um,
Yeah, yeah, me
and
too, me too.
and I have three wonderful
Uh,
nephews from all of this. And and I just love you. I love you so much. Um,
oh, my sister.
but and I just want to thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your tea. You were very
Mm,
transparent. You gave us some education here, and you were very authentic and not holding anything back. So that takes a lot of courage to share publicly. I don't know how many people are going to see it. Off and on, we had up to 20 people that I saw coming on, but there's views afterwards. So I hope that
mm,
somebody, whoever you are out there, that you get something from this. So some of the resources, real quick, I want to go over before we leave is, if you are a veteran, you can go to your VA. Start with your veteran service organization in your local community. There's places like where I currently work for one more week, um, is called the Vet Center. So each state has a vet center, and there's lots of vet centers. There's like hundreds of them. That's where you can get specific treatment, tailored treatment, just
mm,
for combat related and military sexual trauma. So those things are available. Those organizations are available, and all those services are free. You can also do community care through get a referral from your VA provider, and get a referral to a civilian provider to help you.
mm,
So all of that is free. uh, Other resources for, like, if you are not a military person but you are suffering and you do have issues and you recognize some symptoms with PTSD, you can just talk to your primary care doctor. A lot of them now do screenings for mental health, um, especially like with suicide being high and things like that. So they'll do screenings for you, but you can talk to your primary care provider and they can do a referral if you need to, or you can just Google it yourself. Some states, not all states, have community service boards, which are like a place where you can get mental health treatment. Like, they do assessments for you, things like that. But most importantly, some of the things that I would like to stress is that if you are feeling like you have some of these symptoms, reach out for professional help. Um, I always do a pause for your mental health. So the P is for actually connecting with people, right? And so connecting with people is really important, even if that is just asking for professional help, okay? Because sometimes it's beyond that. And like, God can fix it, but you got to do some work too. So he might just be guiding you to the resources, to the people that can help you. So just know that, okay? Watch the things that are triggering you, as far as like, if it's news, if it's your job, if it's other people. Pay attention to those things. If you start to get more anxious and you get upset or bothered, like how Trini shared with at work, you know sometimes when it's around the holidays and there's firecrackers and things like that, it could trigger you. If you're a woman and you've been sexually assaulted, you need to pay attention to those things, like your surroundings, because sometimes all men might trigger you. um or if it was a woman,
mm.
just pay attention to the things that trigger you. I'm glad you said writing, because journaling really is a helpful thing. um so journaling and getting it out, but just recognize your feelings and try to don't suppress them. Deal with them. They are temporary emotions. But yeah, so that's just some of the things. You can always call the suicide hotline. They have chat features. There's for veterans, there's a veterans crisis line, and I can also post those numbers up in the comments. Okay, but you have
Yeah.
any final things you like to say?
I love you, sister, and I can't wait to see you in a few weeks. I'm
Oh,
gonna
I
cry.
love
I'm
you
gonna put on a show of a lifetime for you.
whatever. Just have my
So
nephews there. But I love you too, and thank you so much. You guys check out some of his videos on his page, and that's T-RAY
yes, and also
Watford.
on YouTube. And you can search me on YouTube as well.
Okay, so
So
thank you for that. And
yeah.
my final words to you all: have a great night, and like always, I'm here. It's now, and I'm alive. So y'all stay lit and be blessed. Good night.